We really boxing. Who wanted the battles? Let's see.
Oh, we boxing? Yeah, we boxing. I need that belt like it ain't no other option. So we punching and weaving and blocking. Defeat ain't an option. Let them know. Shoot a video, put it on BVO. Let them know. Every time I punch, it's a heavy blow. BVO, bound to hit like bricks cause it was set in stone. Let them know. I ain't getting body, but I'ma hit this flow. Yeah, way more than a show. This is BVO.
Boxing coming to you live and direct, man. Salute, 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 man. It's your boy BVO Boxing. Tell the whole world BVO Boxing is back. We back, we back, we back, we back. Big show today. We got some people coming through. Salute to my man D1, my guy. But you know, as we all know, BVO got ducked again.
What happened? Tell me what happened.
I don't know. CAS Sports, he talked like he wanted to smoke, and I don't know.
Dang, Cass, what happened, my boy?
Hey, it was good though. Salute to my man Bruce Gas in the house, man, as always. Salute to my man Prize. But
For sure.
as you guys seen, you know, we got love for Cash. Used to be put him up there, Donald Duck running, man. We put him up there today. But big show today, man. We gotta talk about the aftermath of what we seen. We seen Artur win a very close fight. Salute. Oh yeah, it is his birthday. Happy birthday to my man Cash too.
Happy
We just
birthday,
having
brother.
some fun.
For sure.
But I'll say this though. It was a great fight. Beterbiev really showed a lot. And it kind of showed me that Beterbiev does you know, he's good, but he may not be all-time good, like all-time great like I thought. And I want to send a big shout out to Turkey Al-Sheikh because for the first time, Prize, I asked you if you noticed this, but we really seeing guys like, you know, fights, and it's not like a foregone conclusion who wins. And the sad thing is, the two biggest stars in boxing, Canelo Alvarez and Tank Davis, Abdul Wahid, have not been involved in the whole Riyadh season. I don't understand why those two guys wouldn't want to be involved in such a huge momentum thing in boxing. But
there's a couple things though, bro. They might not want to fight away over there, you know, unless Turkey does something in America again, you know, which he has done. But I don't think that Tank and Canelo have any interest in going out there like that to perform. When they make good money here, why would they, you know, go way out there when they can make the same money here? Unless Turkey offer them something, you know. I want them to go because I'm like with the rest of the brothers on the panel that night we called the fight. I don't care where the fights are. They could be on the moon. I just want to see the fights. That's it.
Yeah, salute to my man D1. He's in there pumping up Cash, who ducked me. He said BVO is going to cook Cash when we get him on there. But salute, man.
Why everybody going that Cash, man?
I know he a Bills fan, so we'll let him get to watch them lose like my Browns did. But I'll say this, man.
That wasn't an ugly game. Well, I don't want to get off track, but your team against my team, wasn't that just terrible football? It wasn't good, man.
It was, but salute to my man Puerto Rican Free, man.
Be free.
But I think the thing that we missing is that the Saudis have really done a great job of exposing the BS that's been in boxing. We've been seeing all these guys get all this praise. Oh, this guy's this guy's that. And when we seen, you know, true 50-50 fights, we see guys like Big Baby Anderson get beat to death. We see guys like Tyson Fury almost got stopped. You just seen so many different things you thought you'd never see. What you think about all this, Tommy?
I'm with Bruce Gas in the chat real quick. He said the fighters get treated like royalty. I've been hearing that, and it seems like they seem very happy. So, but yeah, go ahead, T. What's up with you?
Man, I don't know. I just think that when you go out there, you got to be focused on the fight because there's so many things that take you off the game plan, or so to speak. The spectacle of everything will probably drown out the actual purpose of you being out there. And I think some people get caught up in that, so that when they go in there in that ring, they so wiped out from their experience emotionally that they ain't got a lot of it to put up in the ring.
Right.
And I think you see upsets because of that. I don't know about the fights in particular that are major. I thought that the fight, especially the fight that was the headliner, was a great fight, man. Because when you got so many people saying this person won, and then the same amount of people saying the other person won, that means boxing actually won. You got a fight that was worthy of the build-up. And for once, we did get a fight that had a great build-up, at least prior to it. I think the week of it got distracted, and we talked about more other things than that fight. But it showed why it should have been at the precipice of every conversation, because it was two great warriors going in there, and they were going to fight and do battle until one emerged victorious. And hey, man, I think that some of the things that are bad with boxing may still exist, even in the cars that the Riyadh season put on, man, because we still can't find a way to control substances that they get to put in their body. We still have scorecards that range from outlandish, ranges, and then we have the fact that we still don't get all of the fights that we want to see. So I mean, it's doing a job to bring things closer. I'm not going to hate on him and his movement. I do think that if he's going to put on fights, then he needs to put off his conversations about what he think was a travesty or not, because no way in shape or form was that a travesty. That was a good fight, man.
Who said that? Turkey or
Turkey.
Eddie? Eddie was
Eddie
pissed
said it too, but that's Eddie's
But let
father.
me say this real quick. Let me get Puerto Rican free in here on this one
Okay,
before
get
we go
Puerto
to the
Rico
next
free
thing.
in that, man.
So what I would say, what I would ask you, free, is what Turkey is doing. A lot of people call him turkey sandwich. I would say what turkey sandwich is doing is really good, but I think it kind of exposed that there's a lot of hype in boxing. Am I wrong about that, free?
It depends on what you're talking about when you say hype in boxing. If you're talking about certain fighters, I mean, it's always been that way. I mean, fighters always get hyped up. Whoever the promoter get behind, they're gonna build that fighter up or whatever. Um, if you're talking about the sport itself, I would be like, no, you're wrong. Is boxing is a sport that either you love it or you don't love it. You going to get behind certain fighters because you like their style or you like how they move. You're going to get behind other fighters because of what you believe they are. So it all depends on what you believe. That when you say they is being exposed for the hype, it all depends on what are you talking about.
When I say this, and let me go to my man Tommy on this one. When I say hype, I mean hold on, what you got a little back? Oh, he got it. I would say that when I say hype, I think a lot of fights we crown guys way too easy. I think we crown Abdul Wahid way too easy. We've crowned Devin Haney way too easy. Same thing with Ryan Garcia and even Teofimo Lopez as well. So do you think because we never seen these guys really get it on, we don't know who the best is, and we just kind of assuming? What you think, Tommy? Because a lot of people say Abdul Wahid beats everybody. Is that true to you, in your opinion?
I mean, in my opinion, what he brings to the ring as opposed to his opponents in and around his divisions that he can campaign at, I believe he can beat everybody, and I think he would. But that's boxing. That's what they make the ring for, and that's why they get in the ring. I agree with your statement that we do crown people much too quick in these times in boxing, because before you earn the crown, now we give people the crown. I mean, I would say, and I'm not the biggest fan of his, but I would say that the last true king that, or I won't say king, but one person who earned a crown was Canelo when Canelo was doing what he was doing. Now Canelo was abusing the crown. You know what I'm saying? And he's taking fights that are not so challenging on a regular basis. I think he's putting off his last tough fights for his last big money to try to build the pot up so he can go out on a bang. But you know, back then in the days, they earned the crown, man. They had to go through the gauntlet, so to speak, to get the title of like, yo, this is the pound for pound, or this dude in the top 10. The top 10 held so much weight back then because it was 10 of the most ferocious fighters that
Dogs,
you had.
yes.
So I would agree with what you said. I don't think Turkey is messing it up. I don't think they're saying it's overhyped. I just think the way the system, the chasm is now that, you know, if you have a certain look or you got a certain following, you the man. When you find out who the man really is in the ring, and they got to line up. So yeah, they got to line it up in the ring to display truly who is the best. Until then, it's all speculation.
Salute to my man, Prison Real Talk with Tommy, man.
Shout out to my
But
man.
you know, the thing I'm gonna say, and you know, we praying for Tommy, man. My man down there in Tampa, man. We all know they catching hell right now. But I'll say this, man, and I'm gonna ask Prize, and then I want Free to answer this as well. When you see, you know, a guy like Abdul Wahid, actually, who probably only has maybe 6 fights left, if we look at how he fights in his age. So if he has, let's just say 5, you know, an easy number. So if he has 5 fights left, that means that unless he decides to step it up after this Lamont Roach fight, is there a good chance that this young man will miss the Hall of Fame? What do you think, Price? Started us off.
I think he got a little ways to go. I think he'll fight more than 6 more fights. I feel you though, moving the way he moves, it's hard for him to get challenges because it seems like nobody wants to fight him. But then people will criticize him, and I'm one of them. I say, well, go to 40 then, man. Just go ahead, man. I don't know what else to tell him to do. But he got some time to cement his stone, you know, to get to the hall. You know, he has a good chance of doing it. He's a draw. He has all the boxing abilities. He has everything to be in the Hall of Fame. He just got to go and do it. Right now, I would say he's not, but
Well,
I
let me
feel
say
like
this,
he
Price.
will
Let me
get
tell you
into
why I
it.
said 5 fights.
Why?
If we
I feel
look
like
at
more than that.
if we look at how he's been fighting, Tank is 29 years old, I believe, getting ready to turn 30 next year. So if we say he fights, you know, 5 more times, that's 31, 32, 33. He said he wanted to be done before 30. He wanted to be done before 34. So if he says he's going to be done at 34 and he's fighting, this is us saying he's fighting twice a year. People don't realize he really is running out of time. Like these
I mean, you
guys,
make a good point, BVO. I mean, that's a good point, bro. I can't even really go too much against what you just said, bro. Because the way he
and,
moving is like
and happy birthday to my man. Hey, happy born day to my man. And I'll ask you the same thing, Free.
born
Now,
day, man.
I know, Free. You know, you probably one of the most unbiased guys when it comes to the black fighters. But let me ask you this: when we talking about Tank's career, we talking about maybe 5 fights left. Is this young man gonna run out of time for being a Hall of Famer?
If what you said is true, and he said he wants to fight until he don't want to fight past 34, he's 29 now. Tank is fighting twice a year, so that's at least 10 more fights. He's fighting twice a year. Um,
How is that 10 more fights?
he's 29, 34 is 5 years. That's twice a year. He's fighting twice a year. That's 10 more fights.
Yeah, I see where you coming with that one from, Free.
I'm missing
I
that.
mean,
If I'm
If he
going
could
the
get,
last
if he's
2,
29,
2 times 5 is 10.
right?
yeah, but yeah, you're right. I'm just thinking. I'm also putting in maybe layoffs too because you know Tank like to be out that ring, 16,
Tank,
17
the
weeks.
only layoff Tank had in the last 6 years is when he went to jail, and he still fought twice that year. He would have fought 3
Yeah.
times that year. Actually, he would have actually fought 3 times that year. He fought
He's
twice
not
that
one of
year as
them.
well.
He's not one of them inactive type of guys. He likes to stay active. You know, he hasn't really done too many of them layoffs like we see some of the other guys do. So
Yeah, I mean, He doesn't really have layoffs like that. I mean,
Yeah.
Like I said, the only time he really had a layoff was when that the year that he
That
went to jail.
jail stuff, yeah.
But he fought twice that year. He was trying to fight a third time that year. So but to go back what you were saying, um, I would say he probably will make the Hall of Fame. And the reason I say that is because regardless of how we look at it, he's a 5-time champion. He's a 3-division champion. He's one of the top sellers on pay-per-view. He's a superstar in the sport of boxing. I'm not saying he's a superstar in the world. He's a superstar in the sport of boxing. Like I said, he sells out basically every single arena that he's been going to since the last 2 years. Every single arena he's been going to, he's been selling out. So I would say he probably will make the Hall of Fame. You look at the guys who have made the Hall of Fame just recently. Look at the guys that made the Hall of Fame. Ishe made the Hall of Fame.
Word?
Yeah, he just made it. Salute to Ishe.
Yeah.
Salute to Ishe.
And you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. We got a personal relationship with Ishe. I asked him to do an interview with Ishe, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't necessarily think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And this is not me trying to shoot no shots at my brother. Congratulations, you're in there. That's all that matters. I think the Hall of Fame has to be for not just the very good. The Hall of Fame should be for guys who truly have done the work and are considered all-time great. And I'm gonna go back to Tommy on this one. So when we talk about Abdul Wahid in particular, which is let's be honest, he's a polarizing guy. We all got love for this guy. But when we talk about Abdul Wahid, will you say when you look at his career, can you tell us we'll get the Boots fight in your opinion?
I mean, I don't think we'll get the Boots fight.
That's
I don't believe that Boots will be anywhere near his size when they are actually able to fight. I believe that Boots right now is barely tipping the scales to make it at 47. And I don't think Tank goes past 47. I think 47 is a bit of a stretch for him. So for him to
planet?
What planet?
Yeah, what planet is that a stretch for him? A guy this powerful, this heavy and small, pause. This dude's punching harder than Manny Pacquiao ever did. Manny Pacquiao wasn't punching people like this. He was knocking them out, but Tank is beating people to death.
Manny Pacquiao arguably did something that many people can never do. And I don't see too many people jumping up 8 weight classes. Now, I know some of them weight classes is only a couple of pounds in between them, but still it's an 8 class. So we could say 7, a legit 5 classes. That's a lot of weight to scale up. And still keep your power on top of that. So, Manny Pacquiao was packing plenty of pop in his punches. That being said, man, Manny Pacquiao, I don't know how big he is, but Tank is only about 5'3.5", 5'4". And he's got a small frame too, man. So he's just an anomaly with the power that he can generate. But a lot of it is also his mechanics, the way he sets his punch up, and also the fact that he throws short, compact punches. You don't usually wind up. They usually come in compact. But, you're looking at Boots. Boots is almost 6 feet. The boy is closer to 5 feet. And Boots has a much denser bone mass than Tank does. So I don't think that, they're going to fight no time soon. I think the fight with Crawford.
Do you think Boots is bigger than Miguel Cotto?
I think his frame is bigger than Miguel Cotto's.
I think he might be tall. I think he might be taller.
I'm talking about him as a person, not his height. I'm talking about his weight. Do you think him and Miguel Cotto are much of a difference?
No, I don't know if there's much of a difference, but I do know that, he's been trying to cut down to get to a certain weight. So he's cutting.
You gotta look at Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto didn't go to 54 until he was in his early 30s. Miguel Cotto was naturally a 147-pound fighter. He didn't go to 54 until he was in his early 30s.
But he started at
Jerron Boots Ennis will definitely go past 154 pounds. Jerron Booson is probably in his career at 160, maybe 168.
And that being said, there's a point to that. But the thing that I guess I'm trying to get a greater conversation on is if Tank wants to be considered great, and I think I'm telling you, we throw the word great around way too much. And you know what? When people say, "Yo, I don't believe in accolades," I'm gonna tell you why that's the biggest crock of crap you can ever hear. Because accolades tell me that you hit certain hollow marks. So if you are a undisputed champion, if you are a lineal champion, that tells me that you did the work to be regarded in such a light. And I'm trying to tell you at this point, and if we think about it like this, let me ask you a question. If and I want all you guys to answer this. If Tio, I mean not Tio, if Tank was two-time lineal champion, two-time unified champion, and he was the champion at 140, the lineal champion at 140, after just being a lineal champion at 135. What would we saying about Tank right now? If we had those same exact accomplishments as Teofimo Lopez, what would we say?
Same thing we saying about Tank right now. It's saying the same thing. It doesn't add anything extra to what we're saying about Tank right now. I still look at Tank the same way that I've been looking at him. He's a 5-time champion. He's a 3-division champion. That's what he is. If he was unified, he was unified. The same way I look at Shakur Stevenson, he's a 3-division champion. He's a 3-division champion. Yeah, you could add unified on there, but you only look at him as a champion. Nobody really takes in consideration unification. Yeah, you
That's not true.
unified.
That's not true.
No,
That's not true.
you're
That's not true.
unified. Did I cut you off when you was asking a question? Let
Go
me
ahead.
finish
Go
saying
ahead.
what I'm saying. Let me
Go
finish
ahead.
saying what I'm saying. Nobody really looks at unified the same way that you look at undisputed. Yeah, you're a unified champion, but if you never got undisputed, they're gonna ask why you didn't get undisputed. Nobody. I mean, look at what's his name? Matter of fact, Shakur Stevenson. Nobody mentions the fact that Shakur Stevenson was unified at 130. They said he was a 3-division champion. They never really mentioned that he's unified at 130. They just say he was a 3-division champion.
What I'm
So
saying is this, and this,
nobody really mentions Earl Spence, unified champion. They said Earl Spence was the champion. He fought Bud Crawford. He lost undisputed to Bud Crawford. He was the champion at 47. They don't really mention unification. Yeah, unification is something that you work towards and you want to become undisputed. But it only matters if you want to be undisputed. If you really don't want to be undisputed, you grab one belt and that's all you want to be as a champion. You don't want to be undisputed. It doesn't really matter if you got one belt, 2 belts, 3 belts, or 4 belts. It only matters if you're a champion or not.
well, the reason I say that, just to kind of give a little context, is Iran Barkley is known for being unified. The court does get credit for being unified, beating what was the kid's name? I always lose his name. Oscar Valdez. He beat the kid Oscar Valdez, become a WC and a WBO champion. I'll just say this, and I'll ask Tommy, and I'll definitely ask my man Prize this, and we're gonna start with Prize. When you listen to what people say, we look at the context of what made people great. Why is it removed when we like a guy? If we seen a guy moving the way Abdul Wahid has moved at 29 years old, we would pretty much say, you know what, he's a waste of talent, and he's stunted his growth. And you can kind of put it any way you want. I just want to know why is Abdul Wahid giving these extra chances when he's 29 years old and he hasn't even done as much as Devin Haney or done as much as Teofimo Lopez or as much as Shakur Stevens. These guys are way more accomplished than him. Why are they not, being recognized compared to a guy who just happens to be very popular, but only fights one style? The only time we ever seen him take a different style was when he recently fought Frank Martin. But let's be honest here. What's the difference between Jose Pedraza and Mario Barrios? There is none. Except for Mario Barrios is a little bit bigger. But go ahead, Pride. What you got on this, man? Salute to my man A.
I don't know what happened to Price,
Hear me?
but
Y'all can't hear
what?
me?
There you now we can hear you. Now we can hear you.
I don't know what was happening. I was right here.
Yeah, he muted that stuff again. I don't know what's going on.
I don't.
You hear us?
Yeah, keep like I'm not even hitting the mute button.
We
It's just
good to
doing
go
it.
now. We good
It's
to go.
doing
I
it.
think
It's doing it on its own.
okay. We good
But
to
like I
go.
was, yeah, all
What you
right.
think about us?
But like I said, I think Tank got accomplishments too, though. Um, he has knocked out a Hall of Fame fighter. He's sold a million pay-per-views in today's climate, which is very hard to do. Very hard to do. So he got some accomplishments too. He sells out arenas, he sells out wherever he goes. He's very popular. The kids like him. He has his fan base, bro. So I don't want to just discredit him like he don't got any accomplishments. But yeah, there's a couple more fighters that have a little bit more accomplishments than him. But it depends how you look at it, though. You know,
So
everybody want
basically,
to everybody want to get their money.
so you agree with what I just said, that because you like him, there's a different standard for him. Is that what you're saying?
No, not necessarily, but I feel like he does have accomplishment. I'm not making this stuff up. These are facts. He's knocked out. Y'all call Leo a Hall of Fame fighter, and he knocked him out brutally. One of the best knockouts in recent time. So again, and he made Ryan quit in a mega pay-per-view fight. Big money he made in there. Then he came back out and did very good against Frank Martin. And he's gonna come back out and he's gonna sell some more. So those are accomplishments to me. Maybe Free or Tommy or you might not think those are accomplishments, but to me, those are major accomplishments. Because what's everybody in boxing for? To make the most money. It ain't nobody in there that ain't trying to not make no money. You might got some fighters to be like, yeah, it's legacy of a money, but for at the end of the day, dog, they in there for the check, and that's what he's done. So he got good accomplishment. He got his family out of Baltimore. You know, he got accomplishment. I ain't making excuses for him though.
Salute to my brother Boxer Scholar pulling up. But and this is a very and if you want to come up, salute to my man Just Do. Anybody don't know my man Just Do, help BVO get his start. But I'm gonna ask you this, Boxer Scholar. When we look at Tank with a guy who might have let's just say 6 fights left. When we see this guy at 29 years old still not have major accomplishments, is it just that he is a attraction and not a great fighter? What would you say about that, Scholar? What you think on this one, man?
I think
We can't hear you, brother. Can you hear us, Scholar?
yeah, I can hear you now. First off, let me say this. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, yeah.
I was gonna say BVO. Listen, man, I done work hard. They about to accept me into the Illuminati, brother. I'm not gonna let you mess this up for me, brother. I'm not gonna let you mess this up for me talking about Tank, brother. But no, in all seriousness, man, Tank is the product of great matchmaking, right? Like those guys, like we talk about Leo Santa Cruz. And Leo Santa Cruz was good at his respectable weight, but come on, man, who the fuck looked at that fight and was like, man, that wasn't even 70-30, bro. We just knew it was a matter of time before he was gonna get knocked out. But see, what boxing is chess with the flesh, bro. And what I know about Leonard, he's gonna match make it to where Tank is the king of the hill, and that's what we seeing, bro. Everybody at 35, that was somebody that either moved up, you know what I mean, moved out the division, and all that's left is him and Shakur keep pump faking. Shakur don't want Tank, and I would favor Tank to beat Shakur. So it's like when it's all said and done, bro, people that's during the current time, they gonna look at it and say he ain't fought nobody. In hindsight, if he retired undefeated, they gonna be saying he the greatest of all time, bro. Because he got what people like, that neon factor, that knockout power. That's what everybody love to see. That's what we show up to see. We show up to see knockouts. I mean, boxing is good. You know what I mean? It's an acquired taste. Most fans like knockouts, and Tank is exactly that. And X said something the other day, bro, and it reminded me. You know what I mean? How Tank is viewed. He talked about Tank having braids and it made him want to go get braids. And I was like, bro, we witnessing Tank have AI level celebrity in boxing, bro. He like the Allen Iverson of boxing right now. You know what I mean? Allen Iverson never run a ring. Take that for what you made. But we looking at, you know what I mean? We gotta respect it for what it is, bro. Would I like him to fight somebody else? Absolutely, bro. Even move up, bro. Like nobody at 135 can fuck with you. Move up to 140, bro. Go up there and make some noise and beat your chest. But he not gonna do it, bro. He not. So I'ma just put some respect on Tate's name, bro. I'm gonna put some respect on his name.
And salute, man. We got my man Ant-Man pulling up, man, on his birthday. Salute to my man and happy born day, man. I think he 36, man. Getting old, bro.
Still younger than Bud.
There we go. Still younger than Bud. I'll take that.
So let me ask you this, man, because I think what Free said makes sense. But you got to watch Puerto Rican Free because he has such a lens where he'll forget that accomplishments do matter. So let me ask you this: when you look up Abdul Wahid and you say, what is he done? What is he going to do for boxing? Is he a great fighter or is he an attraction like Mike Tyson is? Because Mike Tyson is an attraction. He's not a great fighter. He's an attraction because he's never won any of those big fights against the kings, the true kings, Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield. They all beat him to death. It wasn't even close. They beat him to death. But what you think about this, man? I want your opinion on this one, Ant. Go ahead, brother.
I mean, first and foremost, I won't say that a guy who was undisputed was just
Tell
an
him, bro.
attraction.
Tell him,
It
bro.
was just an
Youngest.
Right. And we got to take into account that these other guys, while they may not be Lennox Lewis or Holyfield, it doesn't mean that these dudes were just absolute chopped liver either. That's one thing as boxing fans, man. We got to understand that it's not just Hall of Fame or bust. And then here's the other thing about boxing, the politics of it all. Accomplishment, achievement, you can only do with, whatever's in front of you. That's the way I look at it personally. And it's not a Tank thing, it's not a whoever fan, but if you're fortunate enough to be in a situation, you still got to take advantage of it because here's the other thing. Fights aren't won hypothetically. They're not won on paper. You still got to perform. So I give all of these guys credit for being presented with opportunities and seizing them. For example, we seen Devin Haney. He was undisputed at 135. If Tank was in that same position, Shakur was in that same position, or any of these other guys, the contemporaries, the guy who were, quote unquote, blue chip prospects, contenders, whatever you want to call them, I feel as though those guys would have been undisputed as well. And I mean that as no disrespect to George Kambosos. He did what he had to do to become unified. It's all on the night or what have you. But I will say, just from what I've seen from him, that these other guys, if they were presented with that same opportunity, the same time, and like all this stuff is very, very tricky. And that's the other thing as boxing fans is sometimes we got to separate these things and be able to compartmentalize. Like the stakes of a fight doesn't necessarily dictate the quality of a fight or the degree of difficulty that specific fight may entail. Because we got some guys that are in there, they're not even fighting for titles, and they having some crazy hellified fights, man, some damn dog fights. And then we see some of these championship fights, and they kind of just mismatches. And we anticipated them being more 50-50 or whatever the case may be. So the stakes of a fight, the implications of a fight doesn't necessarily dictate the quality of a fight or the difficulty of a fight. It just ain't that way.
So going off what Ant said, he made a good point. I'm gonna give you guys, and I'm gonna have you guys can start however you want. But there's a fight to me that lets me know what matchmaking is and what it is to just fight anybody and everybody. When I look at Gary Russell Jr., he had a bunch more fights than Lomachenko, but he only fought a certain style. He was matched really, really well early on because he was a blue chip prospect, Olympian, the whole nine. But you look at Lomachenko, Lomachenko was fighting whoever they had for him. And he went in there and won a tough fight because he had seen Gary before. And I honestly feel like this. I feel like we are just giving Tank the benefit of the doubt. And you know what? You said we being critical on him. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. If you make all the money, if you generate the attention, you are the guy. Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad never cried about it. Oscar De La Hoya never cried about it. Floyd never cried about it. That's what happens when you wear the crown. So when you see a guy who is not done anything at 29 that you would consider be known as greatness, what are we saying that? So we basically saying this is the most watered down version of boxing we've seen in its history. Is that what we're saying right at this point, guys?
Hold up, real quick before we elaborate on that question. What you mean, Gary Russell only fought a certain style?
He was matched very well. But this is
What you
not. This is
what?
not Casper's
No, no,
personally.
no,
Man, this is
no, no,
not you
no, no, no,
personally.
no, no, no. No, he wasn't. No,
Yes,
he
he
wasn't.
was.
No, he was not.
Okay.
No,
I'm
he
not
was
gonna
not.
argue about Gary Russell. I'm
Okay,
giving you an
okay,
example.
and I'm telling you, he wasn't, because the reason we only seen him fight once a year
He
is
fought a bunch
because
of mandatories.
he only
I'm
was
not
fighting.
talking about when he
Hold
was
up, hold
champion.
up,
I'm
hold
talking
up.
about after he was. I'm talking before he was champion. You
He
missing
did
the
not.
whole point.
He did not only fight certain styles. You missed the whole point. He did not.
No, he did. He
Who?
did.
Okay. What style did he only fight?
He fought other slick guys like him. He didn't really fight a lot of irky jerky guys. He didn't fight a lot of tall guys. This is stuff I
Obviously,
researched.
obviously you didn't. You didn't research. Obviously, you didn't. You obviously didn't.
That's
Because you
total
need to go.
bull crap. But we moving on. Go ahead.
You need to go. You need to go. You need to go watch his fights again, because you obviously didn't do no research.
We already know who he didn't.
Shut your dumb ass up. You
hold on. This hold on.
obviously
Here
didn't
you
do
go.
no.
Here you go.
You
I'll just take you having
obviously
some
did
fun.
not do any research.
But listen,
He
bro.
violating.
Listen. You missing the
obviously
whole
didn't do
point.
no
This is not
research.
about Gary. We moving on. So, like I said, anybody else want to answer that question? What do you guys think about matchmaking compared to just being all out skill fighter? What do you guys think?
I think Loma was a product of matchmaking. He lost. He lost his second fight. You don't think so? You don't think so, Scholar? You think?
No, that's because he was fighting. He was matched tough early. That's why he got that loss. And then he had 300 amateur fights, so he's seen every style. I don't think he's a product of good matchmaking.
No, I don't think so either.
You got a good point, but I feel like he was moved. I mean, well, I guess
He wasn't a product. He wasn't a product of matchmaking.
Hell no.
He fought some good guys early. You're right.
You fighting for a championship in your second fight. Like, I can't say you're a product of matchmaking.
It was. There, I wouldn't say he was a product of matchmaking. I would say he was pushed early. A product of matchmaking is somebody who their resume is built up and to be a great fighter who's really not a great fighter. I think he was pushed.
Oh, I'll give you an example. Jose Torres. That's matchmaking right there.
Well, he's a prospect. Oh, you talking about Joe?
Richard Torres. Excuse me. Richard Torres.
He's a prospect. He's a prospect.
He's a prospect.
But that's matchmaking, though. They throwing him in there with no hopers.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a good point.
But he's still a young man, so we got to see how he develops. And I think here's the other thing about matchmaking: it's not always just about the names, but getting these guys in there with dudes who present challenges in certain ways. So in one fight, you might want to give him a look with a guy who's taller. This one, you might want to have him deal with a guy who got speed. Not everybody who got everything all at once, but just certain elements. Get him accustomed to looking at height. Get him accustomed to looking at speed. Get him in there with a guy who got some power. And then as you scale up the matchmaking, now these guys got multiple elements. Like that's what real matchmaking is. You don't want to just throw him in there like a Marvis Frazier, where in his 10th fight he's fighting against fucking Larry Holmes, and then the next fight after that he's fighting against Mike Tyson.
That was crazy how they moved him.
I want to pick up on something Ant said real quick. Ant said something earlier, right before this last question. He said it's not always about, I mean, the fights that has the belt is not always the more meaningful fights. And that's one of the reasons why I always stood on belts doesn't matter to me. They doesn't matter to me. They matter to the fighters. They don't matter to me because, like he said, you can put two champions in together that nobody care about. Yeah, it's a unification. Nobody cares about the fight. When you got two of the best fighters fighting and there's no belt on the line, that's a more meaningful fight. That's a more meaningful fight.
Let me speak on this. I'll say this because I actually have gotten to talk to Gary Julia a lot recently. So when I say what I'm saying, Gary, I want you to understand that if I look at your resume, because I know you watching, if I look at your resume, I can tell that Watson and PBC and all those guys really matched you well when you came out the Olympics. I can tell that because when you seen Loma went to another gear that Gary couldn't match. And this is
Well,
one of
there's
my
some
this is
people
one of my
that thought that Gary won the
hold
fight.
on. Hold on. This is the thing I'm saying. We seen Loma hit that gear, Gary didn't have an answer for it. So that's what I mean when I say it's about throwing guys to the wind because you could have it either way. You could be like the one guy, I can't remember his name. He was champion at 17 years old, but he burned out easy. My
For
thing is
Benitez.
this.
Talk about Benitez.
Benitez. So my thing is this. I feel like when it comes to boxing, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, and Price, Box Scholar, but I think this is a cesspool of mediocrity, and we're celebrating mediocrity now, and we don't give guys the credit that we used to give them. Because let's be honest, if we knew that, let's just always use Abdul Wahid because he has that name recognition. If Abdul Wahid would have beat Josh Taylor, I could not imagine what YouTube would have said. I can't imagine what the world would have said if Abdul Wahid would beat a younger version of Lomachenko. Not Lomachenko now, Lomachenko in his best. You see what I'm saying? I'm saying I think how people feel about things tends to dominate more than what the actual facts are. You see what I mean, Ant? And y'all give me y'all your butt on it. This is a good
I agree with
conversation.
that. I agree with people's sentiments overtaking reality, but here's the thing. I
Go
feel
ahead.
like that works on both sides. And you got to be able to look at this thing from all angles and be as objective as possible. So, like for the Loma thing, here's on one half, I understand what you're saying, but the other part is this. When Loma was at his best, there's enough of an age gap to where you can say, okay, Tank wasn't even reaching his prime yet. So we want one guy to not reach his prime to acquiesce and make things easier for the guy who's in his prime. But then when the other guy reaches his prime and the other guy's in the twilight of his prime, or he's actually exiting his prime,
Right.
then we say it's a problem. It's like we can't have it both ways. We can't say like, yo, he should have fought him when he was in his prime. But no, he didn't even reach his yet. This dude was only
But his
22 years
contemporary
old, and
did
this
that,
guy was
Ant.
in his
That's the thing, Ant. That's the thing. A guy his age did that. So
prime. A
that's what
guy
I
his
mean
age
when I
did
say
Yeah,
what?
I have to agree with BVO on this one. I feel like look, everybody on this stage done played Mario before, right? You know how you got to time shit, bro. That's how it is with
Mhm.
matchmaking, right? Because that's how you end up with a Deontay Wilder, bro. You keep feeding him bums his entire career, and then he gets an overflated in sense of his abilities, and he think he's a world beater, and then he goes in there with a guy who can box, who ain't even a great boxer, just know how to box better than him, and he putting him out. He putting his lights out. Luis Ortiz was a step out fight. Think about that for a second. Deontay Wilder had 11 title defenses. Luis Ortiz was a step up fight for him. And then he sat on a mandatory for fucking 2 years. Hey, BVO, he cooking on this one, bro. Like at some point, bro, like, are we gonna get somebody that comes up like we praise Roberto Durant and them, not for them carefully being match made and maneuvered and all this other stuff, because they was running to the John the Beast Mugabe, bro, was in his absolute prime, and Marvin Hagler was on the downswing, bro. He derailed that man's entire career, bro. But at least John Mugabe took the fucking risk, bro. They're not willing to take risks these days, and I agree with BVO, bro. They okay with just having a mediocre record, not fighting the top guys, waiting for guys to get beat, waiting for guys to look like they beatable before they can even get in the ring with them. I agree with them.
I don't think that's always the case though, because if you go back and you look, there are several instances in which politics played a part, and some of these guys didn't even really want to get in the ring at certain points. I think what the difference is now is you have so many damn promotional entities at work to where you got these guys that are looking to stage a lot of these in-house fights. I think that's a bigger issue more so than anything. It's like we romanticize the past and we make it seem like, yo, these guys were just so brave and just so fearless. And that wasn't always the case. It's not like, hey, yo, give me this guy, I want all the smoke. Hell, people were criticizing Sugar Ray Leonard back in the day for taking time off with the retina and all this other stuff. Shit, you got people to this day that swear up and down that Sugar Ray Leonard was ducking Aaron Pryor, Sugar Ray Leonard was ducking Donald Curry, and all these guys. Sugar Ray
Those are
Leonard
all
took time
facts, man.
off. Sugar Ray
No,
Leonard
no,
took
that,
time
no,
off and
he
allowed this
definitely
guy to get a little bit a little bit older. So these things been taking place. You've been had guys that were fighting for money. It's just that now we look at these guys and we romanticize it. Hell, I remember watching an interview from Floyd Patterson that he did in 1985, and he talked about how one of the only fighters he felt was really about that action was Marvin Hagler. He didn't mention any of these other guys. He didn't mention Wilfred Benitez, nobody else. He said, yo, like Marvin Hagler's like one of the only throwback guys out there. So
And,
these are
and
sentiments
speaking of
that have
that,
been around.
and
so
speaking of
many.
that, let me throw this in here, and because you making you cooking on the day, bro. But let me and same thing with you, Scholar, and even my man Free and Prize. I think the thing that we missing is this: there is no such thing as throwing caution to the wind. And I'm gonna tell you why. When Floyd fought Arturo Gotti, that was crazy. That was stupid. What are you doing fighting him? That's what they said. When he fought Arturo Gotti, they said this dude ain't ready. He's a baby. What are you doing? They told Bob he was an idiot. They said he was making a mistake. And what happened when Floyd challenged himself? And that's another reason why Floyd is still to this day so bitter and angry about boxing, because he did everything you asked a guy to do. He fought those guys, fought what's the guy? Corrales, went in there. I'm trying to tell you, if you just look back when he fought Arturo Gotti in his hometown or his second hometown, I believe Arturo Gotti's from Canada, Montreal, but he made Atlantic City like his second home. He fought him at home, beat him to death in an easy win. Easy work, as Floyd would say. And I'm telling you
BVO,
this.
Easy work.
And this
BVO,
what I'm go ahead.
I'm pouring me a big bowl of Captain Crunch right now, bro. Nobody thought Floyd Mayweather was gonna lose that fight, bro. Like, we not for the you. Don't let that be the fight. The Arturo
No.
fight.
And the reason I bring that fight up,
He was an
is because
underdog
when
though,
it
Scholar.
happened, that's the thing I'm saying. Not so much fight itself, it's
Us.
about when it happened. You see
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's
And
easy to say
answer
these things
Mike.
in
Let me say this
retrospect,
real
bro.
quick. To answer Mike Gardner's question, Jamel Charlo is one of my favorites, and no, he's not a Hall of Famer. Even though he did a lot of great things, no, he's not a Hall of Famer because he was just too inactive. Now, if he can come back at 34, maybe get about 6 or 7 great fights, which
He
I
did some
doubt.
good stuff at 50. You said Jamel or Jamal,
Jamel,
BVO.
Jamel,
He did
Jamel.
some
I don't
good
even talk
stuff at
about Maul.
54. If Ishe can get in, I'm pretty sure Jamel can get in. He got a pretty
No,
solid
no.
resume next to Canelo and some of the other guys, Teofimo and
Big, big,
Lomachenko and
But
big,
Devin Haney.
this is speaking candidly. We all know BBO knows Ishe. I don't
look,
think he necessarily deserves to be in the Hall of
I'm not
Fame.
big,
gonna say
big,
Ishe doesn't deserve
Ishe
to
who?
be in
Ishe
there.
Smith?
Sugar
Yes,
Shay Smith is in there for a reason, and I'm glad that
he's
Nah,
he's in
he's
there.
not
probably
in
in there.
there.
You know why he's probably in there?
I'm
He's a
looking
They
at the
got more than
International Boxing Hall of
one Hall
Fame.
of Fame. They got more than
No, I'm
one
talking
Hall
about
of
the
Fame. Which one?
internet. I'm talking about the one
Yeah,
in
I don't think
Canastota.
Ishe's in there. Ishe
The
can't even buy a ticket to the ceremony. I don't think.
I'm talking about the big boy Hall of Fame, the one up in Canastota, like
That's what I thought
upstate
was
New
that.
York.
well, they put him
That's
in the
what I'm
Las
thinking.
Vegas Hall of Fame.
Okay, well,
Prize.
I'm thinking we talking
I
He's
about.
from
thought you.
Vegas,
Oh, I
so
knew
that's home cooking. That's home cooking right
that's
there.
different. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. That well, he
I
deserves
mean,
to be.
he was the first and only Vegas born champion. So he
I
was
mean, but
born
that
in
doesn't
Vegas,
get
and
that
he was the
doesn't
first.
get
He was
you
the
that
first
doesn't get
person
you in the
born
Hall
in
of Fame.
Vegas and
But
became a champion in Vegas.
I'm not mad at
So
that
I
either,
want
man. You know, they
Yeah.
recognize you at home, they recognize you at home. They
Yeah.
recognize you at home. It is what it is. But
Salute
my
to
thing
Sugar
is this:
Shay.
these fights just gotta play out. We gotta see them, man, because Who was it? Roberto Duran, 1972. People say he was the greatest lightweight of all time. That's the consensus. Roberto Duran is the GOAT. When was the last time you heard somebody mention Esteban de Jesus? That was the first man to beat Roberto Duran, and he beat him at lightweight. The
Yeah, he
only
did.
reason why he didn't get the championship is because they fought at a catchweight. They fought at like 137
36,
or something like that, or 136.
You,
136.
So the
you
belt
know,
wasn't on the line.
some you said earlier, bro. I wanted to touch on because we can't skate past this. You said we look to the old fighters and we romanticize, but this has been going on forever. And I tell you why that's complete cap, right? I remember watching the Boxing Voice, right, and he was talking about Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Shakur, and Tank Davis, and he called them the Four Kings. How many of those guys besides Ryan Garcia and Dev have fought each other, bro? Like you could say other side of the street. Look, Bob Arum is still promoting it. So is Don King. So all that other side of the street shit, they use that shit to hide behind their promoters, so they don't have to step up in big fights.
Absolutely, it's a firewall. It's
So
a
so
firewall.
so listen, and then when it didn't happen, the big fights, bro, boxing got a black eye before that. Like people still like regret that Lennox Lewis never got in the ring with Riddick Bowe.
Yeah.
Deontay Wilder ain't fought Anthony Joshua, bro. Like that's crazy,
horrible.
bro.
But
That should be a crime.
Boxing Scholar, I'm gonna tell you, and here's why I talked about the whole romanticizing thing. The reason why that fight didn't happen between Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis, it wasn't because this dude was ducking him. It was because of the business, and that's the same thing that we kill these dudes for these days. I gotta find that clip. When I find a clip, I'll send it to you. But Larry Merchant was talking about it. They had lost so much money on a Lennox Lewis fight that Riddick Bowe was like, "Yo, I'm not even doing this shit. It's not even lucrative. It don't even make sense to make this fight happen."
I actually
That's
talked.
really why he threw the belt
And
in the
they tried
trash.
to, and they
I
try
actually
to
talked.
give
I actually
and
talked
they
to
try
Riddick
to
Bowe.
give
I
Riddick
talked to Riddick Bowe. He said
B-side
the
money.
main reason why he didn't make that fight is because they wanted to do a 50-50 fight. And he said, I'm not giving 50-50 to the mandatory. I'm the champion. I'm not giving him 50-50. That's the
And
main reason why they
free,
didn't have
So
that
look,
fight.
they lost so much money on Lennox Lewis's fight before that. They got a
so when I
whole
dug,
segment, a HBO segment. But nowadays, if that were to happen, we would be killing these dudes. Oh,
Yeah, he
you
went. They
ducking
almost went
because of the
so
bankrupt of it.
business, because of the money. Look, you seen what just happened recently with the damn Brian Norman Jr. saga and Boots. We killing these dudes because he's like, nah, the money
but
ain't
that's
right.
considered normal. That they gonna move on from that. It's gonna be
But
yesterday's
let me
news.
say this real quick. This to interject exactly what everybody's saying. You know what's funny? We're saying the same things, but the fact is this: if we look at the landscape of boxing, and Antel historian, Boston Scholars historian, I'm a historian, definitely Puerto Rican free and pride. We love this game. You know, we be watching black and white fights. All of us are some boxing nerds, so that's not even a question. But we know for a fact that this is some of the most watered down talent we ever seen. I'm trying to tell you this. If Tank beat Lomachenko, let's do this. Let's play career swaps. Let's just take Tank. Let's say Tank became undisputed by beating George Kambosos. What would that do for him? Let's just say that Devin Haney beat Lomachenko while he was young and then beat Josh Taylor next. What would they say about him? And what if
It depends
Tio
on who you ask, BVO. It
And then
depends on
what
who
if
you ask,
Tio?
bro.
And then what if Tio did nothing but fight big fights against Mexican guys because that's the fight that people want to see, and he never challenged himself. I'm trying to tell you, no matter how you stir this up, the only two dudes who really and that's why they get so much hate. And this is not me trying to. This is not me talking trash. This is a serious conversation. When you look at Tio and Devin, you see that they want to be great. You see it. You see it.
Let
You
me ask
feel
you, how so? How so?
because the fact.
And this is why I mentioned circumstance and
Go ahead.
situation. This is why I mentioned circumstance and situation. Because if you look at their resumes, at what point do you start seeing notable names on Devin Haney's resume? And I don't mean this as any slight to him because he started as a teenager. So he needed those development fights out there in Tijuana or wherever the hell he was
Well,
at.
I'll
You
say
need
the
those.
big
I don't
name was.
knock
I'll say
those.
that first name was JoJo Diaz. I thought that was a nice step up fight. Then the Linares was a good win.
The first
You know,
notable name
was
on
it
Devin Haney's
JoJo
resume.
or Linares or
No,
JoJo?
the first notable name on Devin Haney's resume is Yo-Yo's Gamboa. That's his first notable name.
You mean
Then he started fighting
oh,
notable fighters after that.
I thought he fought.
No, he fought Gamboa first. The Puerto
He
Rican
fought
fight.
Gamboa. He fought
Yeah, that was
Gamboa
the first big.
before.
He fought Gamboa right after Tank Davis fought him. Tank Davis fought him the year prior.
So he fought JoJo and Jorge next after that. Then
See, but if you really want to poke holes in these things and put asterisks on things, then you can say, okay, JoJo Diaz came up from where?
Yeah, JoJo Diaz came up from 126.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying, Free? It's like if we really want to do that for real, then we can put asterisks next to things.
But JoJo was
He beat Tevin Farmer though. He beat Tevin Farmer though, and I mean, I think you forgetting that point, boy.
Where did he beat Tevin Farmer at though?
At 126.
All right. Where did he fight Devin Haney at?
You don't think
two-way places higher, however many years later.
He was kind of blown up.
But let me ask you this: Do you remember this? Do you remember this? And Free, when they was calling JoJo Diaz a miniature version of Tank, y'all remember they was calling him Mexican Tank and all that? I don't know if y'all remember that. He was really dominating.
I never heard that because JoJo Diaz was never a knockout artist, so I've never heard.
Never. JoJo Diaz has like a 46% KO ratio. This dude is not no Mexican Tank. I never heard that either.
Yeah, I don't know about all that punching
That's
power,
a reach,
but I feel like that was a solid win, and then Linares was a good win, and then
Prize.
The rest is history.
And that's exactly where I'm at with it. It's a solid win. It's a solid win.
Yeah, it's solid.
It's nothing like
nothing to jump over to.
And JoJo Diaz is a solid fighter.
Yeah,
he ain't trash. Sure. He's not a bum, but he's also not like, oh my God, this is JoJo Diaz, the greatest thing since Wilfredo Gomez, or the greatest thing since fucking Julio Cesar Chavez. He's just a solid fighter, and that's what all of these guys share in common, in my personal opinion, is that they're all beating solid fighters. They're fighting good fighters. But then that's the other question that we have to ask is like, how many truly, truly exceptional fighters do we have right now? Like, we have a lot of good fighters. A lot of them are good fighters, but how many are truly exceptional?
We only have two under 140, under 140. We only have two under 140. And I take that back. I'll say we have four under 140. Shakur, it's enough said. The Puerto Ricans 3-time, 3-division champion. And I would say Tio, and I definitely would say Devin, American Dream Haney.
Well, you gotta throw a new way in there.
No, listen to the thing. And it's tough because they got weight classes for a reason. I would say in a way, to be honest, it's better than all those guys. Tio, Devin, they can't compare to Inouye. Tank, they can't compare to what Inouye's done. So that's the hard, and you see what
he's done in what respect though? In what respect though?
In respect of accomplishments and what they've done in the sport.
But what I'm saying is this though: the accomplishments are more so a byproduct of situation and circumstance. It's not
so
like, and I mean this is no disrespect to. I mean it's to no disrespect to Luis Neri or any of these other guys, but what about Luis Neri screams like, "Yo, exceptional fighter"? I'm just talking about. I'm just talking about skills.
I get what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Great. They're not all gonna be great. But let me ask you this though. And I hear my man Crush.
And that's where it gets a little dicey, man.
And I hear my man
where it gets
Crush,
a little dicey.
I hear my man Crush in the chat capping like he always does. I haven't had to respond to Crush. He caps so hard. Crush, for you to say Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez have not done nothing but Tank has, you're a hater. You're a hater. You're not speaking facts. You're a hater.
And this is
you're a hater.
This is what I say. This is what I say. This is why I say I don't want to get into people's resume because I can chop up anybody's resume. I could chop up anybody's resume.
Exactly.
Because if you look at, it's not always about the resume. Yeah, it helps. But it's not always about the resume because you got to look at the time that they fought those individuals and how was those individuals at the time that they was fighting. Were they good fighters at the time? Were they quality fighters at the time that they fought those guys? So because I hear when people bring up Pedraga for Tank, they were like, "What Pedraga? Not the Pedraga that we saw at 140. We talking about the Pedraga that was at 130.
That was 22-0. That was 22-0 and was poised to be the next Puerto Rican superstar. Like, yo,
yeah,
context is important. And here's the other thing: when Tank fought him, Tank was what, ranked number 8 in the
Yeah.
WBA. He wasn't even a contender.
Yeah,
He was ranked.
Yeah,
It's not like
he was the underdog in that fight. He was the underdog.
But here's the thing: we when we look at that fight now, we look at it how we do recently, like what
it
he's
didn't
done
age
recently.
well. That's what it didn't age well. Like the Mario Barrios fight, well, that fight didn't age well. You see what I mean?
The
Mario Barrios going
fight,
on to become WBC champion at 147. That aged
Pedraza
really
won another
well.
belt after fighting Tank, though.
Mario Barrio did age well. Mario
That's
Barrio
what I
did
said.
age well.
You're not listening, Free. I said that's the difference between the Pedraza fight and the
Pedraza
Mario
won another
Barrios
title
fight.
after that, though.
Yeah, Pedraza won another title after that. What are you talking about? It did age well.
I said
You
those two
talking about
age well.
talking about at the end of his career. You looking at Pedraza at the end of his career.
Yeah.
Of course he's going to look beat up and worn down. He's at the end of his career.
He got a lot of miles.
That's the same thing like somebody. That's the same thing like somebody beat Tyson early, and then you look at Tyson now, and you be like, man, he beat Tyson. Tyson ain't nobody. But you didn't know Tyson when he was that monster. When he was beating up, when Tyson was beating everybody. You
can't go and look at the damn Danny Williams fight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It'd be like, this dude was an absolute bum. No, this dude used to be undisputed.
Yeah,
so I'm with Free. I'm with Free 1000%.
Let me ask you this, and I want everybody to do this before we get out of there. I know we're getting ready for the Rise podcast. Salute to one of the best in the world, Smoothie King. What another one, and definitely should I sing your Kyle. But definitely we're getting ready for the Smoothie King show coming up. But I want to ask you guys this: when I look at my favorite fight ever to watch is Ron Lyles versus George Foreman. That tells you what kind of boxing I like. What about you, Ant? What's your favorite fight of all time?
Shit, I can't even pick one. To be honest with you, I can't even think of one fight.
Yeah, that was a good fight. That Lyles and Foreman, that was fun.
No, it was for sure. I remember George Foreman saying that was the hardest he had ever been hit. That was a hell of a fight.
I mean, they both had multiple knockdowns. That was just.
Oh yeah, I like different fights for different reasons though. Some fights I like for like all action. Like for example, that fight Baranchik and Zapata a couple years ago on Top Rank. That was a hell of a fight. Both of them dudes dropped each other multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
I like watching certain old fights like George Benton versus Alan Thomas, because you could see he was the prototype for what we see with like the more modern slick boxer fighting behind the shell and all that stuff. Like that's exciting to me, just seeing how boxing developed. I like Ali Norton because for my personal opinion, the first one, I felt like that fight right there, it typifies the importance of having a good game plan and understanding your opponent. Yo, Eddie Futch drew up a master game plan because Ali got one of the best jabs in the history of boxing. And for Ken Norton to time his jab and shoot something back simultaneously, like that was just a genius strategy. It got to a point where Muhammad Ali looked like a little bit bewildered. Like he started lunging with his right hand, throwing stuff that he typically wouldn't throw. He started getting a little desperate. Because what's the name had timed the jab so damn well.
Yeah, I'm a little biased, but my favorite fight of all times, because I was there and he's from my hometown, was Sugar Ray Leonard versus Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Sugar Ray Leonard was coming off a 2-year layoff. He got in there with the monster Marvelous Marvin Hagler, who was killing everybody. He was killing everybody, and for him to, nobody thought Sugar had a chance of winning that fight. And still to this day, people say Sugar didn't win that fight. And I mean, that's everybody's opinion. But he went in there and he survived. What? I think it was 15 rounds. Was it 15 rounds? No,
it's 15.
There, right? I think it was 15 rounds. I think
it was 12 rounds. It was 12 rounds.
Yeah, it was 12 rounds because they had just dropped down to 12 rounds.
Sugar Ray Leonard didn't want to do 15 rounds. It was 12
rounds. They had just dropped down to 12 rounds. So yeah, he survived 12 rounds with Hagler. But we saw what Hagler did to Tommy Hitman Hearns a couple of years prior when he stopped him in 3. Now, I mean, Hands of Stone went the distance with him as well. But I mean, for him coming off a 2-year layoff, that was my favorite fight of all times.
That's a great pick.
No, it's a hell of a pick.
Say it again. Say the question again.
I was saying, what's your favorite fight of all time? That kind of
My
let us know
favorite
what.
fight. Hmm. All time. That's a good one. I liked it's I like that live. I don't know that Bo Holyfield one, man. That was real good. But it's hard to go against that Lyles Foreman for me. You know, I like that performance by Mayweather against Gotti, but I guess I would rock with the Foreman and Ron Lyles. That was like incredible, dog.
If I had a second pick, I would say the best fight tactically I've ever seen was Miguel Cotto versus Floyd Joy Mayweather Jr. because that was the first time we had seen someone show Floyd, hey, you're going to fight tonight. You're not going to move. You're not going to outsmart me. You're going to fight tonight. And we got a chance to see baby Floyd in spurts. I don't
Now,
know.
my
But
best heavyweight fight of recent memory was Riddick Bowe versus Evander Holyfield.
Yeah.
which one?
The first one. The first one.
Oh yeah, that was a hell of a yo. I don't
Did he
even know
knock him
how
out
the
the second
hell
fight?
Holyfield was withstanding some of them shots, yo.
Was crazy.
Riddick Bowe was hitting him with some hot shit, man.
Bombs.
Like, bro,
Dropping bombs on them, dog.
you got to
Like
be
I
Yeah,
said,
so
it's
tough
between it's
mentally to be
between
able to
that
stand up
fight
to that.
and Ron Lyles and Foreman for me. Between them two, that Bo Holyfield, man, I watched that live, and that was probably, man, to see that live because Ron Lyles and them. I wasn't really watching. I was really young when that went down, but going back watching it, bro, that was crazy, man.
you know what's funny what y'all just said about liking that Sugar Ray Leonard versus the Marvelous One? We just seen that fight with Bivol versus Beterbiev because Beterbiev did exactly what Sugar Ray Leonard did. He came on strong at the end of the round to leave a lasting impression. When if you really looked at it, Bivol probably did more work. But if you look at the fact that the input, especially in 10, 11, and 12, that Beterbiev left that lasting impression on you with those flurries and really trying to hurt him. I feel like this: if any of those guys would have went to the body, would have got a stoppage. What do you guys think about that?
I think, yeah, I think they would have. I think somebody would have got stopped. I think Bibble would have got stopped if Arthur would have dug to the body a little bit more. But I think the reason why the fight was scored the way it was is because of the work rate that Arthur put on. He was throwing and pressing the fight the entire fight. He was putting on the press the entire fight. He threw, like I said, he outthrew him by 200 punches. And at one point, Bivol was outlanding him. He was outlanding him. But by the end of the fight, I think Bivol only outlanded him by one shot. I think he only outlanded him by one shot. So you got a guy that's throwing almost double the amount of punches you're throwing, and you only outlanded him by one. Yeah, you outlanded him, but you wasn't as nearly as busy as he was. So it kind of leaves an impression. Okay, this guy's pressing the action. He's throwing a lot of shots. He's landing shots. I see the effect on his face. Not really seeing no effect on him, but he is getting hit. They kind of lean towards the guy that's the more busier fighter, the guy that got the ring generalship who's pressing the action. They kind of lean toward that fighter more.
So, and you agree with the 112, 116 scorecard?
I could understand how somebody could have it that way because here's the thing: I don't just look at the number of rounds that scored, but the rounds as a whole. You know, for it to be 116, 112, it doesn't necessarily mean that he was just getting absolutely washed or anything like that. It could be like you said, there's just moments. For me, the reason why I felt like Beterbiev won the fight is because more often than not, he was able to dictate more so than the other way around. Because there was some moments where Beterbiev, he landed a little shot around the guard or to the body, and then he would just have Bivol just on the complete defensive. Like he wouldn't even be throwing anything. He'd just be moving around laterally, keeping the
His
high
hands in
guard
his
up.
pocket.
Yeah, he was keeping his hands in his pocket.
Yeah.
So there was some times where he just allowed himself to be handcuffed, and understandably so, because there was that moment in the 7th round where he did try to open up. He threw a combination, and Beterbiev slipped a shot right in between. And clearly that shit hurt because he stopped throwing like right after that. He just stopped throwing. So for me, the thing is, I'm looking at effective.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we conflate the word effective with
Volume.
no, I was gonna say volume, but I would say efficiency.
Okay.
Like Bivol was more efficient,
Uh-huh.
but Beterbiev was more effective. So there were times where Bivol would let go a little flurry. You might have 2 or 3 shots get in, but Beterbiev wasn't deterred. It wasn't enough resistance to keep him from pressing forward and fighting the type of fight that he wanted to fight. But the times where Beterbiev got to Bivol, it stopped Bivol from fighting the fight that he wanted to fight. Then he had to just basically like, all right, I got to try to weather the storm. Coach Tommy, I ain't necessarily feel like Beterbiev looked old in the exchanges. He just don't got the greatest of hand speed. He never did. Even if you watch him when he was younger, his hands never been that quick like that. Like that's how Callum Johnson was able to drop him that one time, where they were in the exchange and Callum Johnson's shot got there first.
And you got to remember he's 39 years old. He came off a year layoff and a knee surgery, so he's going to have some rust in there, and he's not going to be the Beterbiev that we used to seeing because of the rust and the knee surgery. He's going to be a little more cautious. So we didn't see the movement that we saw in the Joe Smith and the Marcus Brown fight. We didn't see that movement because I don't think he had that. I don't think he trusted his knee as well. I don't think he trusts his knee that well. I think if they fight again, I think we'll see a different Arthur. We probably will see a different Bivol, but I think it might end in a stoppage.
Yeah, particularly if he goes to the body. I just think the thing with not Beterbiev, but with Bivol, I think that he just had to just trust his offense just a little bit more. I think that's the thing that kind of swayed me with Beterbiev. You know, I just felt like with Bivol, it felt like in times he didn't really trust his offense as much as he should have. Because Beterbiev, he's been dropped before. I'll say this about Beterbiev though. He's one of them guys where if you catch him in exchange, you can drop him, but you got to make sure you keep him down because he's got good recuperative powers. Like he got dropped by Jeff Page, but then he got up and beat Earth, Wind, and Fire out of Jeff Page.
Oh, yeah,
he got dropped by Callum Johnson in exchange. He got up, stopped him within the next round. He had that damn gash in his head against Marcus Brown. He's bleeding all over the place. It's an absolute mess. He stops him within the next round or so. So he's one of them dudes where it's like, even if he's vulnerable, he appears to be vulnerable, if you don't capitalize right away, he's gonna get his bearings back relatively quickly, as opposed to a guy like Vladimir Klitschko. Like Vladimir Klitschko, every time he got hurt, he was just hurt.
Look, he was
just
for the rest
cooked.
Of the fight.
You know what I'm saying? He was cooked. Yeah. or Anthony Joshua. Like Anthony Joshua got clipped on the damn head against Andy Ruiz in the 3rd round and never got his legs back underneath him. We just saw it recently against Dubois. He got clipped on the top of his head. Never got his
right. He never recovered.
That punch that he got hit with, that slept him at the end of the fight, that wasn't even the hardest punch that he took.
His legs was gone.
His legs was just gone.
That was more for his legs to be shot. His legs was noodles.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It wasn't that it was a devastating punch. Like he wasn't really that devastating.
Well, and let me
if you drop him,
let me ask you this. Come on. He had to keep his hand up. He thought his hand was going into a skull. Does that tell you that Beterbiev is probably a little bit too strong for Bivol? Like for him to fight, because you won't be able to do the same thing you did again. I think Beterbiev.
No. He might not.
No, I wouldn't necessarily say it's just that he's too strong. Because you gotta just pick your spots and take advantage of those things. And Bivol, he said in that interview that he felt like he could have counted more, and that's exactly how I felt. Yeah. And I see in certain spots, like I said, most specifically, the most glaring instance is at the 110 mark. I think it's like 110, 115 mark of the 7th round. When Bivol threw that combination, he was letting his hands run. He got hit with that shot. He didn't throw a punch for like a minute straight after.
I was about to say that. I was about to say that. I think he felt like he should have countered more. But the thing was, when he did throw shots and he got hit, in his head, he, like he said, in his head, he was like, I can't get hit like that again. I can't get hit like that again. Because
and you can see it too.
You can't give Arthur multiple chances of hitting you clean. When he get multiple chances of hitting you clean, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get up. That's going to be the end of that round. So I think in his head, when he got caught clean, he was like, okay, I gotta move. I gotta move because he's starting to come more. So it's like you gotta pick your poison, because you wanna fight with him, but you also know that you're gonna take some shots in return. So you gotta know when to fight and when to get on your bike. And I think because Arthur was so aggressive and threw so many punches, he didn't know when to throw shots. He just threw shots when he saw Arthur had stopped. That's when he threw shots.
Exactly. He wasn't trying to punch it between. And Arthur was steady as hell with that jab too. And then the crazy thing about him is people talk about the arm punches, but he don't load up on nothing. So that I think that's what makes it.
He did that one time
equally difficult.
And he hurt Better be pretty good in that. I think it was the 6th round. He rocked him real good and Better be but he
we talking about Arthur don't load up.
Arthur don't load up. Everything just from the shoulders.
No. Yeah.
It's just his jab just like.
I think Arthur don't load up because I think if he load up on his shot, he might literally kill somebody. I think he might literally kill somebody.
Unalive him. He might unalive him.
I think he might literally do it if he load up. He might literally be the one guy that is too strong for his weight class. He might literally be the one guy that's too strong for his weight class.
I won't go that far.
I would say that because the way Caleb Smith was looking before he fought Beterbiev, he was looking like a world beater, and Beterbiev beat the pierogies out of him. And to be honest with you, the way he beat Anthony Yarde, oh my God! And had you ever seen Anthony Yarde get beat up like that?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Anthony Yarde was doing his thing in the beginning, but his power start Better be a power start overwhelming though. You know, very overwhelming.
Loading up against Anthony Yarde, in my opinion, because Anthony Yarde was so big.
I think it's something about Arthur's style. He gives you that false sense of hope that you're accomplishing something, and so you move in to throw more shots, and then you get caught.
Yeah.
You get caught, and that's how you know it's too late.
Fight over.
Yo, he's definitely craftier. He's got a lot more intelligence.
Do y'all think he gonna move
and
up
his
in
positioning is good?
You think because would they have him at 7 or 8 or something like that? He got to move up.
I think he might move up. I don't know how far because I think the top 3 stays the same for the just for the fact that we've seen these guys do it at multiple weight classes, at least 2. You know what I'm saying?
I like Bud.
Them guys in the top 3, Bud, Usyk, and anyway, we at least seen these guys be 2-time undisputed.
Well, I like Bud
in different weight classes, in 2 different weight classes.
I put Louis at 4. I like a Tank 3rd.
And let me ask you this before we get out. I'm not sure if I could put Tank 3rd, but if I was just basing it just purely on skill, I probably would, because I do believe this, that I do think that Tank is quite possibly the most well-rounded guy that we have in boxing today. Sure. We got some guys that are just exceptional in one area. Like I think that Bivol is exceptional at what he does. I feel the same way about Shakur. Like he's exceptional at what he does. But with Tank, I feel like he's just solid at worst in every area, because we've seen this dude fight against a guy who's 6'1" and be able to control his lead hand by being in that long guard, lead hand control, and all that stuff. We've seen him in there with a guy like Ryan Garcia, significant height and reach advantage. He controlled him from the outside. Lead hand control, all that stuff. Then we seen him in there with a guy who's smaller than him, or shorter than him, I should say, in the pit bull cruiser, and he had to utilize his legs a little bit. Not even so much just beating him with one hand. He was utilizing his legs. He was using his feet. He won that fight.
I think he's the most complete fighter that we have.
That's what I'm saying. Like we seen him win with his feet. Yo,
Crawford.
There is that moment in that damn.
You have to stop. Y'all keep talking, huh? You keep talking, man. And you shut the fuck up.
that nigga
That
hate when we
second
talk
fight.
about Tank. And he hate when we
I'm
talk
saying,
about Tank.
listen, Tank is not even my favorite fighter. I just got to just keep it a stat, man. My favorite fighter is Edward Vasquez. That's my favorite fighter. But if you want to talk about speed, power, IQ, and being able to fight from the outside, mid-range, and the inside, I'm not saying that in all three of these phases that he is number one, but you got most guys where it's like they're either exceptional on the inside, but they shaky on the outside, or they're exceptional on the outside, but they shaky on the inside. Because we've seen it. And I mean, this is no disrespect to a guy like Richards and Hitchens, for example. Richards and Hitchens, from the outside, boxing and looking cute and pumping the jab and all that and staying on the outside, he looked exceptional. But then when you seen Lemos, however you want to pronounce his name, when he encroached and he was able to get past the jab, he was looking a little shaky on the inside. You know what I'm saying?
I think the same thing with Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford, mid-range, long distance, he's a hell of a fighter. Up close on the inside, his skills ain't all that well. He's good, but it ain't all that great, because Sean Porter was giving him fits in the close range. It was when he got Sean Porter at mid-range and he caught him with that shot coming in. That's how he hurt Sean Porter and dropped him the first time. Sean Porter was coming in lunging and he caught him at mid-range. Same thing with Earl. He caught Earl lunging at mid-range, but up close,
true.
He's not that good up close. I'm not saying he's not good. He's not that good up close.
I feel what you're saying. But I'll say this though. I think the thing with Bud that makes him sneaky is that on the inside, he's got the ability to get out to mid-range relatively quickly, because that setup that he has, man, when he does that little step back and then he sets that trap for that uppercut, and he's clipped many of guys with that. Now, typically it's supposed to be a step back uppercut, then he puts the hook behind it. He got Gamboa up out of there with that. He got Jose Benavidez up out of there with that. When he dropped Sean Porter, he caught him with that same setup. Like, he'll step on the inside like he's about to fight on the inside, and the moment you commit, he takes the step back. It's almost like you pulling tug of war and the other person just let go of the rope and they let you fall. That's kind of like how it is. Like, he's pulling the rug from underneath these guys. And then the other thing too is seeing him fight certain guys that were big and strong, like Jeff Horn. Like, yeah, Jeff Horn's not an exceptional fighter, but he's a guy who's a mauler. He's a swarmer. And Bud was muscling him around. He wasn't necessarily beating him up on the inside and stuff like that. But every time what's the name got close, he had the physical strength and he had the musculature to deal with him. Same thing with Errol. And that's the thing that really had me shook, because I'm an Errol Spence guy. But when I saw when they got in close, most of the time Errol's able to frame guys up and beat them up on the inside. When I saw that Bud just pushed him off, I said, shit, it's going to be a long night. It's going to be a long night.
This is when I figured, when I said it was going to be a long night for Earl. When Earl tried to push Bud and Bud didn't go nowhere.
I thought Errol was high during that fight.
I was like, oh my God. Because normally when Earl pushed somebody back, it'd be over, bro. Go ahead, BVO. Take over.
No, I was saying, when I seen Earl's eye, I thought he was blazed. And he just got beat.
He definitely looked off. But you know,
he looked high, man.
Nah, Tommy. You gotta go back and look at that Sean Porter fight. That first 6 round, Sean Porter was giving Bud fits. He was giving him fits those first 6 rounds.
He was touching him, but I don't think it was like all like.
No, I'm
my God,
I'm saying he couldn't figure Sean Porter out the first 6 rounds. He couldn't figure him out.
Sean Porter can't figure himself out. He comes in faster than he can anticipate it himself.
No, but what I'm saying is he was giving Bud problem. That's the reason why they said he's losing. Because he literally was losing at that point. He literally was losing.
I didn't have him losing.
I mean, you might didn't, but the vast majority had Bud losing at that point.
What did the scorecards had him? The officials scorecards.
I could go look them up. I can go look them up.
Yeah, on that note, it's your boy BVO Boxing. It's your boy Puerto Rican Free. It's your man Richie Rich, aka Prize Fighter, and we had our special guest, man, Ant-Man in the house, man.
Shout out, Ant-Man.
We getting ready for the Rise podcast, man, and we gone. And like we said before we go, this is for you, Ant. We want to show some love to the greats, man.
Yeah, he's kind of undisputed. Yeah, you gotta call him that. Respect, because he won all the titles. He already said that he won the title at 140. Like that's the argument that Aaron said. He's like, he's not even disputing this thing. He won the title on this and then on 140. At 135, he had all of them except, if I'm not mistaken, the franchise belt. If I'm not mistaken, right?
So he didn't have them all at 140.
I think he just won.
Josh had everything at 140. So he said won all of them at 140, and he had all of them at 135. So how's he not two-time undefeated champion? And not on top of that, he beat the man that was the man at the time in both weight divisions. So forget about the so-called belt. He beat the best fighter in the division both times. Call it like it is. Call a spade. Get a man his credit. You don't box, you can't talk about it because you don't fight. You understand. When you beat the man, you are the man. I don't give a damn what belt you got. You beat the man, you are the
Primo Lopez, the Takeover, two-time undisputed world champion.
And we gone.
We really boxing. Who wanted the baddest? Let's see. Oh, we boxing? Yeah, we boxing. I need that belt like it ain't no other option. So we punching and weaving and blocking. Defeat ain't an option. Let them know. Shoot a video, put it on BVO. Let them know. Every time I punch, it's a heavy blow. BVO, bound to hit like bricks cause it was set in stone. Let them know. I ain't